Few moments, but we are here restarting the stream. Well, once again, this is FRL Super Sprint Sunday, sponsored by Simnet. Technical glitches are just a part of sim racing, unfortunately, where the cars break down in real life. Sometimes the technology fails us, but we are here, ready to serve the wonderful FRL community sim racing at its very best as we follow Brush Tully round on his initial lap. You find us during the one-shot qualifying session. I'm Greg. We have Jack in here with us, who was missing last week, and we are ready to serve the community with some commentary. And Brush really looks like he's ragging it out there, doesn't he?
Yes, he certainly looks like this is an aggressive lap from him, so I would suggest that this is going to be his one and only attempt. I think we've got Felipe Spamf now going across the line. I'll let you know if that brings anything to fruition. But yeah, you can see Bruce Tully now going through Sterling's, having to make sure you have to really hook the car on the inside. Spamf not set a lap time, so you have to really hook the car on the inside there, make sure that you don't run too wide and out of the groove. And now through Clark Curve, got to make sure that you keep the car to the inside. You just run slightly wide on exit there, but now he hugs the inside, so this is going to be a first representative lap time. 1 minute 24.6, so not that quick, but the track has dropped a bit, and for a track that's so difficult to set a first lap around, you'll be fairly pleased with that. Jared from Mueller now across the line, and he goes, 1 minute 22.7. We were expecting nothing less. I think they'll add to Bruce Tully's disappointment going across the line. For Mueller, obviously in fine form. Mind you, last time out, I believe I'm right to say, was his first non-victory. He was 5th and 2nd, so he is human. He is human, at least.
He is. We found that very much last week. He had a pretty tough time. But now we've got Flores heading towards the line, setting times for the amateur, and he is about 5 seconds off the pace, but we'll wait to see how that does in the amateur across the board. And Silver has immediately picked that by 1.7 seconds.
Going through into 4th as well, only half a second off of Silver. So Flores will be towards the back end, I would have thought, of the AM class with something like that, as I think Chris Gedman is next across the line in car 79.
So that's better with us, guys. Just as it does get easier as the cars tick down. So
as he goes across the line there.
I don't think we'll be happy with that one, Gedman.
Yeah, he's been out qualified by an AM driver, but 3.5 seconds off the pace. It's not as dramatic as it looks once this all fills out. I think Vermeulen's finishing his lap time. 3:34.
Great time by Trevor Mendes. 2.3 behind.
Work from Mendes, who's been, I think, one of the standout drivers in terms of pace over the last 2 seasons, really. We've got Gabino, who's this crossing the line? Car 3:34.
Kalugin.
So that's Alexander Kalugin. And 4th position, good lap time. They go straight to the head of the silver class, as I think next over is 2:46, but I think he is on an out lap. That's Paul Trotman, who is indeed on an out lap.
I think most of our drivers at the moment are on out lap, but 2:46 is just starting. So we'll go on board with Trotman in the BMW. He just heads up towards Druid's Bend. Nice and tight around here. It's just a little bit wide, and then drops back down the hill. Try and flip the car out to the outside, and try to bottom the car out. You can run it quite far out on the curb on the outside. Now late braking as possible, and find a nice tight late exit up the bend here.
Yeah, he's not using all of the track, is he? I think he's certainly trying to get a lap time in, which is fairly sensible around here. He's been across a couple of track limits, banana skins, without too much issues. Certainly going through Graham Hill Bend, where you rightly said he could have run out slightly wider, but choosing not to, because if you go too far there, the pressure pads out there will pop you for track limits. Now he's going through Westfield, up in through Dingledale, and along Sheen Curve now, and he's going to get to one of the trickier corners on the track. A really fast, short arrive and drive left-hander at Sterling's. Keep yourself in the groove on the inside. Don't run too wide. It's not a great exit. It looks like he kicked the back end out just a bit, but pulls the car to the left-hand side for Clark Curve. Tough apex here. You've got to make sure that you've got plenty of speed, but not too much. You don't want to run too wide there, as he has done through Clearways. Cross the line. Where's this going to put him in? It's going to put him, it puts him just behind Silver, so it was a decent time in the end. A second off Mendes, but he's 3rd in AM and 8th overall.
The next coming across the line is Harris. I thought I saw him start his lap, but I might be wrong. I know he's just heading off on that now. So the next car coming around is car number 89. Oh no, I think Harris
had invalidated. He was He had initially started his lap time, as you rightly said, you were right in seeing that, but he had invalidated around the lap. So very sportingly pulls over. You were, of course, not allowed to set more than one time. Lap is one-shot qualifying, so you've got 15 minutes in which to set your one timed lap.
And it's not just the stewards keeping an eye on those sorts of proceedings. Those commentators are more than happy to dob you into the stewards as well. When you will start from the pit lane. We are very serious about our one-shot quality here.
Very serious indeed. I think Marcel Basler has just crossed the line as well. He's won third in, so he's second in silver. He was quick around here on Thursday night in the Late Night Worlds Series, but a bit of bad luck. He lost out to Luke Prentice in reserve here, as you can see, in 15th at the moment. But he lost out to Luke Prentice in the run and then got bogged down in traffic behind, and eventually led with a bit of a battle and a bit of a tangle with Serafina Gavina. So I'm expecting a lot of good things from Basler there. So I think that's is that Fars across the line? No, it's car racing line. That's Dale Kelleher, who goes 12th, and so 5th in Am. He's obviously a new championship contender, having started out as reserve. So fifth place.
Catch Mormon going very, very wide around Stirling's Bend. So that's him out if that was a push lap.
Yeah, that's qualifying over. He wouldn't be going that wide if it wasn't a push lap, so he's pulling into the pits now. As I think the Cole pits now, another man who raced on Thursday, so he's got a bit of advanced knowledge. Cross the line, keeps the car to the right-hand side. Where's this going to be? I'm expecting good things from Cole Pitts, and I get good things. He is third in silver, 2.1 seconds off the pace, and seventh will do nicely for him.
So just been brought to our attention in the comments, if Vermeulen beats Grace in both races, he will be champion.
Ridiculous, isn't it? With a
round to go.
We've got a round to go, but he's 30 points ahead already, isn't he? He's on 117, whereas Grace is on 87. It's just a massive gap at this point with normally such a really close grid. Sam Thacker's just gone fourth, isn't he, in AM class?
That's a little while ago, but yeah, he looked fast in pre-practice. And I've just caught Marco Lino. He'll be dreadfully unhappy with P17.
Yeah, that's a poor lap time from Lino. Lino had been towards the sharp end of silver. He's Wouter Heijmans now. Always action when Wouter Heijmans is concerned. So goes slightly wide. Yeah, you don't want to be too wide through there because you have to haul the car back and it's always lost time. Where's it's going to go? He didn't lose him too much. He was fourth, third in class.
It just really compounds how much of a great lap that was by Basler.
Yeah, Basler could be really pleased with that lap. That's a really good lap time from Basler, and it's something that he's shown he's got in his locker. And I would suggest that he's probably for the next season and beyond, probably quick enough to move up into the to the upper tier, the pro tier, because that's a really sterling effort from him.
As we now go on board with Serpentine, who really hooks the inside of Stirling's Bend, and he comes round towards Clearways now. We're not carried too much of this lap, so it'd be hard to say if he's up or down. But how does he seem balanced around the Clark curb? Fairly middle of the track, so as long as he slings it back towards and keeps it to the inside towards the start line, he can put it P5. So yeah, almost matching Basler towards the top there. Yeah, a 5/10 gap, but he's going to be starting directly behind him if it pans out like this.
But a really sensible final sector did Serpentine, hooked it to the inside, which meant that the path of least resistance through Stirling's, and then didn't take any unnecessary track as Richings takes a little bit more track there. You want to keep it to the inside. You want to leave a little bit of margin there because you're not gaining anything going that far wide, as Richings does go 10th, 5th in silver. A few of the pro drivers yet to complete a lap time. I'm told that Luke Prentice will be starting from the back in race number 1. He is a pro reserve. But here's Morgan Race. This is the lap we really want to see. Morgan Race, where's he going to go? Across the line. And he remains... Oh, it's 8th. So that's...
He'll be very disappointed with that.
Difficult, really, to see him overhaul of Jared Vermeulen. Vermeulen needs to really mess up the start, which he has shown he can do, but needs to really mess up the start for that to carry it away. Here's Jack Barnett now. Been really impressed with him.
As he loses the rear a little bit, coming around Clark Curve.
Put the mockers on it, didn't I, a little bit, but he was quick again on Thursday. Where's this going to be? It's 14th, which is a solid effort for a silver driver, especially given that it was not all plain sailing. Car number 21 is next across the line. That, I believe, is
that's
Jake
a lot
Hanley.
of grass, which has then put him almost on the grass on the outside. That's what happened with Richings, but this time Handley manages to regain the car and doesn't make the same mistake. And that puts him...
Seventh.
Yeah,
good lap. So next across the line is Adam Sharp, but that is an out lap, so we might want to take a look at that because he's another driver who's been fairly quick in that. albeit
Oh,
capricious Honda.
as Eden takes a dreadful line
It'll be invalidated.
through Sheen Curve.
Yep, that's invalidated. That's sayonara to your qualifying, as Adam Sharp has gone off on at the start of his qualifying lap. The Honda's favourite spinning spot of Paddock Hill Bend. This is Vaclav Pospisil, 37 at the moment.
So he's just starting, and I think he'll be the first of the group that's currently out there to set a lap. So we'll actually get Pospisil for the majority of this lap. The Porsche should be good around the initial first sector of the lap. As he goes a little... Oh, no, that's
too wide.
Too wide of Druids.
Yeah, you need to keep it tight to the inside there, because if you run even slightly offline or away from the apex, sorry, what will happen is that you'll lose 2/10, and you've got, because of the nature of the corner, it's a very long hairpin, so it's not something that you can gain on exit. So you need to keep it hugged to the inside, otherwise you just bleed time to the drivers around you.
But crucially, not one that you can use the curb as a guide either, because it's a bumpled curve. So you'll lose a dramatic amount of steadiness of your car if you decide to hug the curb there. Very much got to just repaint the white line with your tyre.
Yeah, exactly that. Now he's got to go through Westfields. Now if he's through Sheen, back end comes out, that's out. He's off, and he'll be starting from the back. So a lot of drivers have found it difficult, especially in the pro class, have found it difficult to complete their lap times there. So Pospisil won't be going any further on that. Car 134 is out. That's Gordon Brown, I do believe, who is out there, but he's on an out lap, so I think the next one might be Johnny Sharp in the Ferrari. He's got it in him to set a really good lap time here. Now, certainly doesn't take too much curb there, slightly better than Eden, although he does run slightly wide there. You can't be too early on the exit, on the power.
I mean, you can get away with that.
Now through West. Yeah, he will get away with that. He won't have any track limit penalties to go around. Now, this is the tricky one. Through Sterling's, yeah, perfect line. It looks like through there. Just tickles the curb a little bit. And now fires himself, brings the car to the left-hand side. Drive and drive, Clark Curve. They can hit the apex, but just as long as you've got decent speed. Doesn't take too much of the outside, so brings the car over to the right-hand side. Doesn't really hug the pit lane, though, does he? But where does this go? Fourth place, so a good lap time there, jointly with Marcel Basler. Basler only ahead because he started down. I was wrong. Luke Prentice is starting a lap time, although he is currently warming his tyres up. So car 333, not a factor until a little bit later on. It's Gordon Brown and it's Luke Prentice who are going to be the last two. Brown now going through into Graham Hill Bend. Now, tricky one this because of the entrance. You have to make sure that you don't clump the curb too hard on the inside because that unsettles the car. Allow the car to drift over the curb. Now, slightly later on the brakes that you think you might be, but you can't be too greedy on the apex. Don't take too much. Just make sure that you prioritise the exit. Down the hill we go now. Just car drifts over to the left-hand side, and then it's a couple of gears down. Try and keep it as close to the inside as you can. It can be really easy to overshoot there, but Brown does a really good job there of not overshooting. Then a couple of gears down again before, not too much curve there. He'll get away with that, no problem. Then it's up through Sheen Curve into Westfield now. Tricky right-hander, sets yourself up nicely for Sterling's. Down the gears a couple, hooks it to the inside. Got the right line there. They'll bring the car to the left-hand side and then up through the gears. A couple of gears down, and you can be really aggressive on the power through here if you hit the apex. He's missed it, though. He's gone slightly too wide, potentially, but he should lose only a minimal amount of time. And across the line, where does that go?
P6
at the moment. So, one more across the line. That's car 333, Luke Prentice, who's gone slightly wide out of Sterling's. That will hamper him, but he'll complete the lap time anyway. And, he's a little bit more careful through Clark Curve and then through Clearway. So, this will be across the line. I expect this to still be a fairly competitive time. How competitive is it?
P9.
It's 9th. Yeah, he'll know. He lost a bag full of time coming through Sterling's. Had his time on whilst you were share screening with me, so I was commentating on 2 laps at once. But Luke Prentice, lost a bag full of time at Sterling's there. Went too wide there. Didn't quite hook it into that groove that I've been banging on about, and that is the result. So 9th place there.
So really mixed bag for qualifying there. Obviously the Pro Tier, as always, mostly populating the top of the standings, with Vermeulen with a second clear of Banff, who I think we actually potentially missed in the early part there. But Basler, what a time from him, going P3 on the grid, starting directly behind Vermeulen, but leading the Silver Tier by about 4 positions. Then we go into Johnny Sharp, who's in P4. Wouter Heyman's in P5. Gordon Brown we saw towards the end there, with the track ramping up, goes P6. Serpentine will be looking to try and make up quick positions to try and reconnect himself with Basler for the win. Jamie Thacker, absolutely fantastic job, completely disconnecting himself from Trevor Mendez in P8. Then we have Luke Prentice and Handley finishing the top 10. We have Bruce Tully in P11, Morgan Grace in P12. We were very disappointed with that. With the championship on the line, P12, he's got a lot of work to do if he's going to get anywhere near Vermeulen. Then we have Klugen in P3 in class in the silver tier, P13, then Colpitts and Richings. Then we have Mendez, as we mentioned, fair bit down on his championship rival, Thacker. Then we have Dunn, Barnett, Faze, P3 in class. This little gaggle of AM cars with Faze, Silver, Trotman. We have Chris Gedman, who I think will be awfully disappointed in the Porsche, to only get P22. Then we have Kelleher, Kruger, Townsend, Lino, Floris, Floris, with those that set a time. And then we have Coppins, Walmeg, Harris, Desire, Max, Sharp, Eden, Clayton, Steve, Popisil, and Wazza and Jabino, all to not set a time, but Clayton not doing so, I believe, as you said, because he is serving a pit lane start. But we're just a few moments now waiting for the track to be set, where the drivers make a few adjustments with their fuel, their setup, and then we will have 20 minutes of ultra high octane racing. But if you're new to the racing here, do make sure you Google everything necessary about FRL. It's a fantastic place to be, sim racing at its very best. We deal with all sorts of manners of online formula. I just realised I've not reconnected my headset for power. So whether it be Gran Turismo, whether it be ACC, Assetto Corsa, iRacing, new games like Rensport, Project Motor Racing when it's a bit more baked, this is the place to be. Make sure you drop an admin a message in the comments just underneath this video, and someone will reach out to you with a link to the Discord. If you're already in the Discord, if you're already racing with us, do consider joining the Patreon. It starts at just £3 a month, and you can get all sorts of perks as well as helping keep the lights on for FRL. Those sort of perks include your own practice server, early access into events, reserved race numbers, and many more, as well as the ear of all those admins and owners of the league to try and get your voice heard louder than the rest. So you can scale that up to get yourself more benefits and perks, but those are reserved, kept for those daring enough to delve deeper into FRL. And obviously, if you're here watching us, do consider liking, subscribing, and sharing the stream. Every little helps. Obviously, share this with as many people as you can. Make sure plenty of people get to see how great online sim racing can be for the entertainment value. Make sure you hit that notification bell to make sure that you don't miss any of the action. This is the penultimate round, so you want to make sure that you don't miss exactly when we start next week for the final round. Obviously, some championships can be decided tonight, as pointed out by Brown, in regards to Vermeulen and Grace in the Pro Tier, but there's plenty more on the line as well. So yeah, so much to get involved in, whether that be watching, racing, or supporting. And we're just not too far out.
Yeah, so Spamf has been, when he's been racing anyway, he's not been a 100% full attendance figure. He's sort of dipped in and out. When he has been racing, he's been towards the sharp end, and he has been fairly aggressive. But what will help Vermeulen most of all is that he's got the inside line for both Paddock Hill and Druids, and with the way that Ferrari starts versus the McLaren, he'll probably need it. The Ferrari, not the best off the line, but in terms of handling all the way through Paddock Hill and into Druids, once you then put in the Vermeulen factor, I suspect that Vermeulen, provided he doesn't completely mess the start up, should be able to block the run of Filippo Spamf. It's a really difficult run around the outside at Druids. You tend to lose out quite a bit because of the fact it's also an uphill corner, so there's more grip on the inside. With Basler's not really got a lot to lose in third, has he? He's not got much to lose in third from a championship perspective because he's dropped back a little bit from there, but he's got a class win pretty much sewn up if he doesn't do anything silly. Now, as long as he's fairly sensible and as long as he keeps a good, at least one car between himself and Serpentine, I think he'll be okay. And then you've obviously got Thacker, who's put 8 cars, isn't he, between himself and Mendes. So really good work there.
I mean, that's an absolutely incredible time, incredible qualifying performance, considering, like they all do, but to just do the one lap and put that sort of gap in.
but it also gives him plenty of space, effectively. You know, he doesn't have to take any silly risks. Thacker, he can, you know, just run his race, really. And if a couple of pros behind him, especially Prentice, Bruce Tully and Grace, come through, it doesn't matter so much.
I mean, Bruce Tully and Grace are going to have a bit of a job on trying to get past Handley and Prentice and P9 and P10 there with the grunt and the power in the middle sector they're going to have to contend with. So very short run up to the start line here. It looks like
Sharp has got lost a little bit, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, Bamp's going to want to really close up here. You know, Vermeulen's going to be sat right in the front of his telemetry box. So we're not too far away now. You can see when they're going to go. And we are go, go, go! What can Bamf do here? Bamf tries to elect to the outside. Can he carry any speed around the outside? Vermeulen gives him the space, at least for now. Now Vermeulen tracks over. Oh, as Bamf gets quite a snapper on. Will there be a late dive in here for the start? But I tell you what's going on behind. That's Basler retaining his position from Sharp there. But then Sharp behind has got Heymans all over the back of him. Heymans almost causing a concertina effect there as he did look for a definite dive in there, but this invites Brown up his inside. Lamborghini's got great stop and great nose power here, but as the track dives away to the left, so does Wouter Heymans.
Yeah, everyone's quite sensible through there. You normally do get a bit of contact at Paddock Kelpen, but everyone's been quite sensible with the way in which they got around that.
We've got Richings and Handley side by side. So Handley going for the move up the Hawthorns bend, and do you know what? He's got it.
I think Richings might have been attacking Handley there, because Handley was about 10th of the grid, wasn't he? Earlier on. Thacker's dropped back behind Prentice and Brush too, which we expected might happen. But yeah, Handley was in the top 10. I think he was recovering there from a poor start with Richings there attacking. So I think Richings, although we might have been ahead on the timings reads, it would have been by the barest of margins going into 13s.
So we just saw potentially Gedman getting his first track limits violation, bouncing through the Sheen curve. Oh, and then
plenty.
Yeah, Gedman going wide again. Is on the grass on the outside of Clark.
Well, Hat said that they've been sensible. There have been some casualties. I can see just that Vaclav Pospisil and Adam Sharp have dropped back as well
Grace
as
around the outside.
Coppens.
Around the outside, he's got Serpentine in his sight, so he has already picked up quite a few positions here. We're waiting for this to get updated. That's definitely Serpentine ahead. Trying to pick out where Thacker is. Thacker is the car behind,
yeah,
so yeah.
Serpentine's dropped back to 9th. Thacker's dropped back to 11th, so Grace has got past Thacker, as Thacker, I think, is driving with his head, because Mendes and Faz are 6 and 7 cars behind, so Thacker really can afford to be fairly circumspect for the rest of this race.
So Handley absolutely on the move after seeing off the early challenge from Richings. Now looks the inside of Kalugin. I mean, he's not going to make a quick move there. It's nowhere near enough straight. As much grunt as the Mustang does have. Now it does look here like Thacker is holding these up, and it did look like Kalugin just had to back out the braking there. Oh, and then Handley in the back of Kalugin. He won't thank him for that.
Yeah, they've all survived now. I think Hyman's has been passed by Brown at some point, so Hyman's now I think a couple of tenths behind Brown, and he's only about half a second clear of Luke Prentice, so it could be a three-way scrap for 5th place here.
So just further down the grid, we've got Marco Lino in the Ferrari, having dropped off the main part of the pack, is now under attack from Colpitts. The P23 Colpitts trying to get the run on him, but nothing doing just yet. This is for position within class. Lino does a great job diving to the inside to protect the very, very tight Druids Bend. But Colpitts clearly at this stage got more pace, just does not have the straight lines to deploy it.
Yeah, he'll have to be quite crafty about it. He might be able to prioritise the exit from Tees, which is where we're looking now. And if he can, as he does get a swapper on. I was about to say that the BMW might get onto the back of the Ferrari, but the Ferrari's not going to do anything from there. Hyman's still all over Brown like a cheap suit for 5th place at the moment. And it is bringing the Aston Martin of Luke Prentice back into play. Vivilla's away and gone, and so is Spamf, but Basler has got Sharp about half a second behind. But Brown really is a bit of a cork in the bottle here for 5th place. I don't know whether or not that's just because they've been fighting, but Brown has dropped off the back by about a second and a half compared to Sharp and Basler, who are showing really good pace so far.
So it does look like Brown, I don't think it's so much of a cork in the bottle, I just think he's just struggling on the straights. I think he does have the overall pace. As you can see, the last few corners, he did just eke that gap out just a little bit. But Prentice, on the attack here, he does enter the corner a little bit wide, and that does see him all the way around the outside. But crucially, Heymans, with a great Druid's bend, does come back at Brown, but then, don't think Brown got the best exit, and this has allowed Prentice back into it. Prentice on the grass, trying to go around the outside, but with Brown ahead of him, he's not going to have all at his own way, but he's going to try it all the way around. Does he have the pace? But he's on the grass, and he ultimately loses the ground on Wu to Heymans there. For a moment, it looked like it was really on. All started by Brown not having the best exit out of Graham Hill.
Yeah, it's a move that you can make around the outside into certes, but you need a willing dance partner, and I would not characterise Wouter Heymans as a willing dance partner when it comes to that. So, got to be careful to sort of pick your moments here, but I think a lot of the moves made around his loop does go just a bit wide into Sterling. He's actually dropped a wheel, so Prentice will be now fighting backwards with Bush Tully rather than forwards just for the foreseeable. But yeah, you really can make a move there, but you're best off trying to prioritise the exit down the straight down Pilgrim's Drop.
So we're picking up a great battle, four-way battle, headed by Hanley, then followed by Kalugin, Richings and Dunn. And this is Dunn coming for it on Richings, down the inside. The Mercedes has got awful amounts of power, and into Paddock Hill Bend. Gets that done before the turn-in, and that's a great move. Oh, and then Richings decides to dive it. Ooh! Just avoids.
I said to you, didn't I, just before we came on air, that a lot of the corners, or a lot of the moves made around here will have started at another corner previously. That's exactly what's happened here, so a good move
as
from
we got
Dunn.
Barnett having an awful time going around the Graham Hill Bend. He was off track for a moment. I think... has he lost position there?
Yeah, he dropped back to 17th. He's dropped back behind Gedman, who's on the back of Thacker now. Thacker not having it all his own way after such an impressive qualifying session now. He can afford to still be circumspect, but he'll want at least 1 or 2 cars between himself and Mendes and Fars. Mendes and Fars, the next in the AM class. So you can see 3 shades of colour in the number blocks.
Always Gedman throws a shape out there, but then crucially gets out on the grass. He will survive that. But with the top speed of the Aston Martin, looks like Mendes has closed up quickly.
So when we talk about the shades and when we talk about colours, you'll see 3 different shades. The lighter shade is the Pro class, the grey shade is the Silver class, the Medium class, and the red shade is the AM class. So when we talk about Thacker needing a couple of cars between himself and Mendes, that's because Mendes and Fars are the next within his particular class.
So this is a really enthralling battle here. Like you say, we've got Thacker leading this pack, but crucially he's got Gedman and Barnett in the silver tier, just separating them, keeping this interesting. But then Gedman getting a little bit of a switcher on out of turn 3.
Hyman's is attacking Brown, I think, for 5th now. That's has closed right up, hasn't it? For 5th, 6th and 7th. Hyman's actually trying to go around the outside briefly. Look at this now. He looks a lot more aggressive. The car body language looks a lot more aggressive, but he won't make the move around there. But it might invite Prentice to pass. There as Brown goes wide. Brown goes wide. He's forced the mistake of the Flying Scotsman, and now Brown is side by side with Luke Prentice coming out of Sterling's. I think Brown's lost both the positions there, and Hyman's up into 5th, Brown up into 6th. Brown very fair there not to run Prentice off the road around the outside at Sterling's. Good racing between the two of them, and Brown, to his credit, knew when he was beaten. So a mistake there from the Scotsman, but he's recovered it very well to only lose the 2 positions rather than take anybody out. Excellent driving from the pair of them.
Yeah, just like you said, one small mistake 3 corners before set all of that up.
I think Spamf has got into the pits, so they've actually gained 2 or 3 positions. Basler's up into second, Sharp up into third, so this is now a fight for fourth because Filippo Spamf is in the pits, having possibly disconnected. We don't know yet, but Morniveg is in the pits, and I've just seen Spamf drop down the order like a stone. So I wonder if that's connectivity issues here, as we see Barnett now still around the outside of Gedman. But Gedman there right on the back of Thacker, so pressure for Thacker here because he needs to keep at least a couple of drivers between himself and Mendes, as we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, Mendes crucially really got, after following this battle for so long, he's now starting to get a real big train of drivers behind him. Look at that.
Race, meanwhile, is all over the. I think he's all over the back of Serpentine like a cheap suit for P8 as well. So the Porsche needs to set him up out of the final corner because the superior tractor on that yellow car is should see him past the Ferrari, provided he's close enough through clearways and Clark Curve.
There comes Richings, about to come through Clark Curve. He's got great slipstream on him, and it looks like Dunn has just gone slightly wide. Now this won't be a move here, but look at his closing. There's potentially a move on here for Druid's Bend if he can keep his car settled down the paddock hill. Do you know what he does? But he gets, oh no, he actually gets a little bit unsettled by the inside curve, but then that sends Dunn a little bit wide, and Dunn does the right.
In order to really unsettle Dunn, you mentioned it, you called it perfectly there when it comes to trying to unsettle into Druids. In order to really unsettle him into Druids, he'll need to be about a tenth behind going into Paddock Hill and actually trying to throw some moves, trying to distract the driver. I know you can't actually pass him there, but if you can distract him and make him think, what on earth is he doing?
All right, this
as
is
we see
Gedman's best shot
Gedman
on
now
Thacker.
down the inside of Thacker. Gedman now up the inside into Surtees. Thacker can't be too stupid with him, and he isn't. He does let him
and
through.
then Barnett is now alongside as well.
The inside. And Thacker now having a really fight for his little cushion. I don't think he's going to keep his cushion now. So the leading AM duo, because Colpitts got past Fast and Lino, are together. But good racing there all round.
Well, as we see the BMW of Colpitts there running a bit on the grass.
He's recovered that quite well, hasn't he? Because he was off the back, wasn't he, at Lino, wasn't he? A little bit earlier on, so he's recovered that rather well. Marco Lino only a second and a half behind this, so I do suspect that they've held each other up from 14th all the way down. But it's a bit like Alonso's train earlier, if you remember, from the Formula One, in that everyone behind, there's a big old gap. But
this is an interesting battle further back. We've got Clayton, Bamp, Sharp, all towards the back here. Must have been an early incident, or pit lane start, but Clayton heading off this battle, and he's closing in on Desert just ahead of him. So this is an awfully fast bunch placed towards the back of the grid here.
I'll be honest, they all messed their qualifying up, for want of a better phrase.
Oh, but look at Wazza trying it around the outside of Sharp. That's incredibly brave. He's gone off track slightly. But
Sharp's been very fair with him there too. Wazza committed around the outside, but you need to be able to just keep it right around the outside and stop the run. Sharp was very fair, but Wazza there, excellent attempt, if not quite the right result. Meanwhile, I think Filippo Spamf has just got past Stain Desert ahead. So Spamf went off. You can see by the front of his car, I don't know if you can see it on here, but Spamf went off. Look at the front end of that McLaren. He was second, but he'd made a mistake unseen by us at some point, as I think there's another car off in the weeds. That's Floris. He's off and into the weeds and back into the pits.
Oh, and I think I see Harris ahead, trying to get past Gibino. I know these two have been racing at each other for a while, both in this race and in other series in FRL. I will say Gibino once again is in the wrong car. He belongs in a Lamborghini.
Yeah, so Baby Daddy there, giving Gilbino a real good going over there. We'd see how far Silver's dropped back. He was towards the sharp end of him, wasn't he? It was a good qualifying lap, but it is strange to see how far he's dropped back. Gordon Brown, meanwhile, is now right behind Luke Prentice once again, with Bush Tully now up into 7th. The Canadian's been bemoaning his luck, I think, recently, isn't he? In terms of a few things going against him, but he's responded here with a strong showing. You've then got Grace, who's got past Serpentine. This will not be enough for his championship and will probably make him vulnerable to Vermeulen in the championship standings.
As it looked like Grace was almost weaving down the Hawthorne Hill there.
Might have been trying to break the toe, which would point to a difficult exit from Surtees, I would have thought.
As he gets a little bit of airtime, going through Westfield.
I've located Trevor Mendes. I think he's dropped off the grid somewhere because Thacker now has Fars behind. I wonder if the servers played up because Trevor Mendes, no, he's dropped back to 32nd. So what was a battle for the lead in AM class is now.
Yes, I think Serpentine gets a bad entry into Clark Curve. For a moment, it looks like Handley was going to have a real opportunity, but he's regained it. Chose his line wisely, the faster line.
Yeah, Serpentine, if he's sensible, he won't fight too savagely either way because it's not going to gain him anything.
Here comes
Colpitts
on Thacker. Colpitts got such a drive out of Clark. And he's going to have the inside for turn 1. No, just got to stay committed. Don't let Thacker back around the outside. And there we go. Thacker moved back towards FaZe.
So whilst that's not important for his championship, that is important in terms of he can now get after Gedman. Gedman, who's not been showing great shakes in terms of pace recently. He can get after Gedman maybe and try to see if he can close down the Scotsman and maybe nick a place in class.
Now side by side we're about to get Kelleher on the inside of Barnett. Looks an opportunity for a moment. Takes a little bit of curb on the inside for his troubles.
So that's third in class, isn't it, for Kelleher? We haven't really spoken about him, but like most of his season, he's just sort of been there, isn't he? He's sort of been there he was started out as a reserve, but he's had a really strong showing. And because he missed the first round, obviously as a reserve, puts a lot more pressure on him. But he's been really good and really sensible. Now he's approached it. He's got Fars ahead as well, so if he can get past Barnett, he might be able to get past Fars and up into second in class, which should do his championship no harm.
So many battles going on. We're just trying to find the ones that are presenting overtaking opportunity. Do you know what? Here's one. Handley. We saw Serpentine go wide after turn 1 and down the inside. He's been looking at this for quite a while. This is Handley. Serpentine's got to be mindful though. He's going to have a Kalugin up on his inside. Oh no! What a disaster.
I think Serpentine might find himself in the series. It looked like the Ferrari. It looked like he didn't know where he was. I don't know whether he spun up and lost the back end and lost grip there, or whether he just didn't really know where the Russian was. And Kalugin, bit of an innocent victim there, but I would tend to think that Serpentine might have moved on when he didn't know quite where the McLaren was.
I often find when you have a crossing of the track as the racing line, some drivers will still hold a central line or a singular line down the middle of the track, whereas one of the other drivers will look to cut across and think, well, the natural racing line is here, so I'll stay parallel to the racing line, and lo and behold, one moves, one doesn't, and you have a collision.
What you've described as a lack of awareness, I don't think it's an accident I'd have had, so I'll see. If he's lost the back end, fair enough, it's one of those things. But if he has just sideswiped him, then a driver of Serpentine's ability should know better, if that is the case.
Oh no, it's still inexcusable. It's just it's just usually the character of the corner which can induce those sorts of misunderstandings.
Hyman's come into the pits, so I think Hyman's might have under fuel because Hyman's is in the pit lane, having been fourth earlier, wasn't he? Now it's just left Luke Prentice and Gordon Brown fighting for fourth, but Hyman's is in the pit lane and has thrown away, for whatever reason, a really good result.
Yeah, how bizarre. I mean, you won't exactly sink your ship if you put a few extra litres of fuel in a sprint race.
This isn't exactly Formula 1, so fuel's not going to be that weight critical, if that makes sense. It's not going to be critical in terms of your overall pace if you have 5 or 6 litres in, because of the nature of GT3 racing. So yeah.
Well, looks like Kalugin's had a decent run on Richings, enough to make him think about move to the inside into Hawthorns, and he's still on him, and he's going for it again. Oh, what a move!
Good move.
Rubin's racing. Oh no, but then the tap made him lose his rear slightly, and Richings goes back through. I don't think there's too much in that.
Where they'd lent on each other, Richings, by turning as he did at the rear end of Kalugin, unsettles the rear end of Kalugin. I think it's one of those. I think it's a 50-50. But when Kalugin does turn at the back of when Richings does turn at the back of Kalugin, unsettles the rear end and will always send you spearing off.
I say I've picked up Townsend chasing down Jabino, and he's been very aggressive into the braking zones, really closing the gap on Mr. Jabino.
not a terribly sensible thing to do if so, because he's got no one in his class around him, so we can afford to lose a couple of positions. And actually it'd start further ahead because of the nature of the reverse grid. Fast, meanwhile, holding on gamely, isn't he, against Kelleher. Kelleher all over the back of him, although he's now coming under attack from Gabino. Gabino's got to put his sensible head on here, because at the end of the day, they are, as you can see, Vermeulen's already crossing the line here, so look how far back these have dropped. I suspect that if he was starting pole for race 2, he might actually be he might actually lap the field, but as it is, he'll be wading his way through these. But yeah, Gabino's got to put his sensible head on. There's no point fighting a fight that doesn't need to be fought, because at the end of the day, he's got 2 cars between himself and the next one ahead, 2 cars between himself and the next one behind in terms of class.
So yeah, Kelleher, Faze, is leading this one. He's got quite the train behind him. The most likely move is probably coming between Gabino and Townsend. I say it was Clayton's not one to pull out either.
Fast is doing a really good job here, and Kelleher is being actually relatively clean. They're going on to the final lap, so Vermeulen will actually be only about 30 seconds or so from crossing the line. But yeah, Fast is doing a really good job here. If Kelleher can get the run out of clearways, then he might have a chance at a paddock kill.
I'll tell you what, the better exit out there looks like it's been Gabino.
Yeah, but Gabino's not. It doesn't really matter if he drives sensibly. It doesn't really matter in this race. So it's a bit of a shame. But yeah, he's going to go around the outside, wiggling his wheels as he does, and is actually going to get a bit of grief from Darren Townsend, buffeting his way around Druids as Vermeulen is just about to cross the line.
So we say well done to Joe Vermeulen. Highly respectable, well done effort as always. But towards the front, just coming towards the line, we've got Brown on Prentice. This is his very, very last chance. But it does look, as small as the gap is, that Prentice is going to hold on to this one.
Yeah, good battle between these two. One of the more experienced drivers in FRL, and they showed that when they went together around the outside at Stirling. So Baz the second, really good performance there from the silver driver. Sharp in third, that's the season's best for him, I do believe. Prentice in fourth as a reserve, won't score points, but will score kudos.
Kelleher on Faze. Kelleher really getting the impetus out, but he's gone a little bit wide, and will that open up to Gabino? Gabino doesn't care that he's not in the fight. He's going to stick his nose in anyway.
Kelleher's driven this really well because he's resisted the temptation to wipe out Fars in front, and Fars though was going to hold on for what is a well-deserved second in class. Really well done.
Look at this, Clayton trying to come towards the line. Can he get Townsend? It's nose to nose. Oh, by 400ths of a second, he doesn't quite get Townsend. I think that's the last of the battles to come across the line here.
Yeah,
others are down.
Brotman, Steve. So there's going to be a few drivers here who are going to start from the very back, having not completed the lap time. Morniveg is going to be the last one to start, or to finish within that 25% rule that we mentioned earlier on. And so Coppens and Flores are going to be starting from the very back.
Yeah, so there you have it. There's your results. The driver being leading from the front, never really worried at any point, with only a silver tier driver behind him. And Basler, all respect him actually getting that position and a win. The silver tier did see him off, and Sharp would have been hassling him the entire way. So Apprentice had obviously issues of his own, trying to keep Brown off his back, with Brush Tully close behind as well. So looks like Prentice fills out the podium for the pro tier. And then we have to go a bit further down to Serpentine for P2 in the silver tier, with Dunn, who was separated by a resurgent Grace, who came back through a fair section of the field, but only finished P9. We'll have to wait for the comments to see if that has already confirmed Vermeulen as champion. But then Krujit Thacker did originally put himself a very large gap between himself and second place man for the AM tier, and he finishes in P16 with a gap of only one extra car of Barnett between him, Faze and Kelleher. So that's your podium for the AM tier. And then outside of that, outside the top zone is Gabino, Townsend, Clayton, Desire, Wazza, Silver, Bobsil, Mendez, Sharp, Banff, Trotman, Steve, Eden, Harris, Kruger, Heymans, and I think 2 laps down, and we did 15 laps, so...
Borneberg will be fine, but Coppens and Floris won't be. Borneberg will be fine, he'll be starting from pole position, I would expect, but Coppens and Floris will be starting from the very back.
So we will go and get you some highlights for the interlude, and we'll wait for the admin team to reverse the grid. So if you're new to this on a Super Sprint Sunday, obviously we do have to tend to some technical jigging around. So we're going to go to an interlude with some highlights. Let's see who the game decides is interesting for the start. It's going on board with Brush Tully. So he went ducking and diving with the Aston Martin just ahead of him. Then really backs off the first turn. He has there's a gap there, but it does well because there's a lot of banging in front of him actually.
Yeah, so it was very sensible through the first corner. You do normally get quite a bit of contact at Paddock because of the nature of it. I just think they can always pinch a little bit more. Interesting to see what happened to Colpitts because he dropped back. He got more than Brace. Yeah, a bit of an altercation there with Brace. That was inside, all seems a bit needless there, but that would have dropped him back a little bit further. Where that should go. Although it does look like he's gone back 3 or 4 positions back, so there's more to happen.
Then from that point onwards, Brush Tully just seems a bit of a gap there, unless we see the Aston ahead having issues with Serpentine, which considering they're going side by side, wouldn't be too surprising. Following up, we've got Alexander Kalugin overtaking Thacker. They've been happy to get this one done nice and early. As it goes one way, then another way. Then just runs around the outside.
Good move for Kalugin. It was actually really fair because he's got the high ground going into Drury, so he didn't just clear him off the road completely. And then you got Hanley going down the inside, so that's where Thacker lost a couple of positions. Then I think he lost out again to Richings. Go down here, hopefully you can see that. Richards had to run around the outside, so let's have a look at it from Thacker's point of view. Yeah, so he's hung out to try a little bit by Kalugin going into Druid through Paddock Hill. It's all nicey. Then you've got Hanley up the inside there, so Kalugin actually outbraked himself a little bit and stopped and made it sort of Thacker's problem. And then Thacker, a little flash at Hanley, and then he's pinched on the curb there. That's why that wasn't Richings' fault, but what happened was that he got pinched on the curb, and the inside curb there, if you hit it too hard, and he sort of toboggan over it. It's really, really brutal. So that would explain why he ended up there. Now, Kalugin's gone too wide. It's that trick of going slightly too wide from Clark Curve, and it's easy meat for Hanley, isn't it, down the inside here? So no issue there for him to pass Kalugin.
And then we have a Townsend been overtaken by Marco Lino. It just looks like Lino's just got more speed dialed into that car. Kind of a textbook move.
Townsend then, I think, in combat with Colpitts further back, wasn't it? Colpitts and Callagher there behind, so fairly clean there.
So this was done actually overtaking Richings, not the other way around. So very fair, very well considered by the two drivers. And then Richings very precise on the brakes not to run into the back of done there. It looks like that is Barnett with just as he catches a drift. Oh my goodness!
Did really well there to hang on to it, didn't he?
Now does he actually get to keep it? He goes out on the marbles. No, he doesn't really keep it. She loses an extra position in the end. But if he'd have kept it, that'd have been one hell of a move.
He at least hung on to the car, so he did really well there, didn't he?
He did. We're trying to watch and keep up to date with what's going on in the server. So I'm going to go a few cars back and actually try and see what went on with these cameras. Silly me. Grace. There we go. So yeah, he got really held up by Thacker on the curb there. But he stayed committed anyway.
I think he's going to run into the side, so he nearly runs into the side of Culprits there. And yeah, he's
and he does.
Yeah, a bit needless from Grace. He's, very rarely makes a mistake there, but yeah, it was he just got a bit too greedy there with two cars sort of blocking the way. So
yeah, it's almost like he induced Culprits as a first interaction with the car that was with him, and then as that opened up, then went for another collision.
Yeah, not one he'll want to watch back, I don't think.
Yeah, super great awareness this one from Kalugin as we watch it again to recognise he still had enough space before catching Thacker that he still could duck behind him and go to the inside.
Yeah, he didn't just try and run him out needlessly. He's a little bit wide on the brakes there, which I don't think Thacker was expecting. But yeah, Thacker then obviously suffers, doesn't he, on the inside at Graham Hill. We'll watch it through again, but Thacker did really well to obviously lead the space and not just wander off the track. He's a little bit unlucky here. He's obviously got Hanley down the inside as well. So yeah, good racing there.
I guess little touch for his troubles as well.
Yeah, it puts him out of rhythm. I think at that point, if it's me, and I speak as an experienced pro who's used to being overtaken by faster pros, I may have backed out once Rich Chinks was around the outside, but he recovered well after that because he still fought on for a really good. He still fought on for a really good AM victory, so it's something he can be really pleased with.
Almost a bit disheartening on the pit straight where you do see the super powerful cars overtaking, but the racing gods intervened. Ooh, that could have been a lot worse. As we have now got server is live. I'm just going to see this move once again. Colpitts would attempt to come back here, but then get carried out and then backed up into Kelleher just behind.
Bermudan straight out. Me, straight out on the circuit. Him and his baby daddy himself, Owen Harris, out on at the moment. He's back on board Member Harris in the Ferrari. I expect him to still be a bit of a specialist, isn't he, in the second race so far this season? So if we'll see the same again.
So just bear with while we search for the necessary cameras. There's a guy Harris taking a lot of grass. on the outside of Dingledell. Harris put the full hour of qualifying in, so he would have been disappointed with the initial qualifying, but we'll see what he can do, being pushed up the grid with the reverse grid. As we catch him with a hell of a slide. Don't think he applied too many brakes there.
There, won't he? I think.
So one of my trickiest corners on the game, this one, the Paddock Hill bend. Makes you want to commit, but if you've committed too early, then it's already too late.
Yeah, you kind of have to really wait on. It's different to most corners in that you have a defined apex. Whereas with that, you just have to kind of wait, really, sort of guide it to the curb. Don't hit the curb too hard. Then have to just sort of wait on it, so the car will let you know when it's ready to power on.
So yeah, if you're wondering what's going on right now and why we've got a practice session right in the middle of the broadcast, it's because obviously we did have to reset the lobby with a reverse grid for your entertainment before we then give all the drivers a chance to rejoin, so we can get into the 45-minute sprint. I apologise for anybody that's hearing me cough tonight. Just beginnings of a cold.
So the track showed itself, obviously, it's a difficult track to overtake on. In fact, it did show itself to be that for a number of drivers, so I wouldn't expect, given that there's quite a few pros who will be starting quite far up the grid, I wouldn't expect necessarily for the other for the quicker drivers to be, there within like 10 laps, up towards the front. I suspect that Vermeulen, if he is going to win this, is going to have to work for it.
Is very few, very limited overtaking opportunities, and actually quite a short lap, so not too many places to really make a huge difference in lap time either. I mean, he did clear the grid by a second, but that was in relatively clean air, not going through cars.
When you're out front, it's easy to lead you as quick as it is. It's easy, but coming through, he's not going to be afforded. He's going to have to be really patient. I know sometimes it can be a fairly aggressive move, which probably makes him part of the animal that he is. But he's got to just sort of be mindful of the fact that other squabbles will be happening. There'll be inter-class squabbles, so they'll be fairly fast and brutal. You might just have to wait his turn a bit, but knowing him, he always finds a way to get towards the sharp end, doesn't he?
He does, somehow, somewhere. As we are just about 3, 2, 1 seconds out, and provided all the cars cross the line or go back to the pits, we'll be underway very, very shortly. So thank you everybody so far that stuck with us this evening. For those of you that maybe just popped off for a cup of tea, do come back as soon as possible. That's a very funky panning camera. Is this new?
So it's as we said with Morningweg up in the lead. Walter Hyman, who was for so long, wasn't he, towards the sharp end. He'll start from second ahead of Jan Kruger and Owen Harris, with Andrew Eden in fifth ahead of Dreadlock Steve in sixth. Race 4 is Paul Trotman and Filippo Spamf again qualified second, didn't he, earlier on, so expect him to be motoring through the order, so expect him to potentially be a bit of a favourite for the win. You've got Adam Sharp on row 5 with Trevor Mendes in 10th. Vaclav Pospisil is in 11th ahead of Miguel Silva, with Jay Wazza and Shane Desire sharing row 7. Row 8 is Josh Clayton and Darren Townsend. They obviously had a real good battle, didn't they, towards the end of race number 1, with Serafina Gabino and Dale Kelleher on row 9. Though Jeffrey DeFarce is in 19th. He is starting alongside Jack Barnett in 20th, with 21st place belonging to Jake Thacker, who led and won so convincingly the AM race in race number 1. Marcolino is in 22nd, with 23rd place being occupied by Lee Colpitts, ahead of Chris Gebman in 24th. Alexander Kalugin is 25th. Unfortunate, really, starting that far forward. Did really, really well for most of that race. He's starting ahead of Liam Richings, with Michael Dunn and Morgan Grace in 27th and 28th. Row 15 is where you find Renard Serfontaine and Jake Hanley, with row 16 occupied by Michael Rush-Tully and Gordon Brown, with Luke Prentice and Johnny Sharp, I was about to call him Jamie. Luke Prentice and Johnny Sharp on row 17, ahead of Marcel Basler and Jared Vermeulen. Those who are at the back are Michelle Coppins, I do believe, and Paolo Flores, who were 37th and 38th. They are the two drivers who did not complete 75%, and that's why there is no front row start for them.
So I think one of the most interesting dynamics of this race is the enormous spread of all tiers. There isn't, like, we haven't got an enormously stacked AM tier at the top. They're spread from top to bottom, as is silver, as is pro. Obviously pro with a bit more of a collection at the bottom from the previous race, but
30 seconds.
There's a real
good big pros at the sharp end, aren't there? Hymans, Eden, Spamp and Sharp are 4 pros in the top 10, which shows you how badly their race went earlier on.
20 seconds.
Yeah, well, with a bit of clean air in front of them, some easy pickings in terms of positions potentially, they might well be able to get the distance from a charging driver Vermeulen very quickly.
I would suggest that Vermeulen will have his work cut out to win.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cars to overtake from where he is.
Down
35 of them. Yep, and we are moving. So Mornweg leads them away. A bit more civilised than the start of last race. No Johnny Sharp ploughing through the ghosted cars. As like Wouter Hymans wants to get on with it.
Yeah, very keen, isn't he, to get on with it.
So it's a very short rundown, and potentially for those further back, some very high speeds as they approach Paddock Bend, and we are go, and go. Mormec does get a very good start, which sends Wouter Hymans up high on the hill. What about Andrew Eden, though? He's already made a move on Owen Harris. Harris will try and fight this one. Around the outside, he's gone deepest on the marbles. That's going to open the door for the BMW of Paul Trotman. But then Harris sees that off. But then what can Trotman do? Trotman turns in to an advancing Aston Martin and Dreadlock Steve. But then Banff in the McLaren found himself side by side with him. And it looks like the BMW of Trotman has lost out there.
Yeah, so Trotman tried to hang around the outside of Dreadlock Steve. Dreadlock Steve came down the inside, but he's only really lost out to a couple of pro drivers, as you've got Wazza now, who's just past Pospisil. Wazza going around the outside of Adam Sharp. Sharp's going to give him the old heave-ho towards the outside, but Wazza's kept his foot in it. I think he's going to make it round. Sharp
he
then
does.
Very fairly concedes, but that is excellent driver there from the Irishman, whose Bentley has just, really wall of deathed it around the outside there of Adam Sharp. Adam Sharp, not an easy man to pass, but a very fair driver, and there's, that fairness has shown itself once again. I noticed that Gruber, I think, actually ended up starting from the pit lane, so he's a mile back, as you can see there, but he was third. So Hyman's now second. He's on the back of Borneveg, and he'll have to get the move done quickly because he'll have Eden in that super fast Lexus right behind him.
Yeah, it does look very, very controlled through the Paddock Hill bend. Oh, and he does take a dive for the inside, but Mormec sees him coming, cuts off his nose.
I think Mark Limbrush-Tully has hit strife somewhere around the lap because he's now all the way down in 37th. He's behind Paolo Flores, so another thing for the Canadian to add to his list of complaints. So far, it's not been the happiest of seasons for him, with luck and so on and such. Fourth, Gordon Brown, meanwhile, has dropped to 34, so he's been the real loser. He's behind Coppens and Vermeulen. Vermeulen hasn't made that much progress, and he is going up the inside of Luke Prentice going into Surtees. Prentice shuts the door because there's another Ferrari, Marco Lino ahead. Lino's got a bit of damage there. Prentice now try and wall a Defit around the outside, but that might just let Vermeulen in. Now, Prentice is going to have real courage of his convictions to make this move. He's still around the outside now, turns in a little bit to the Ferrari. That sends the Aston Martin off and into the weeds, and he's back on, but I think he's lost 3 or 4 positions there. He's back behind, I think, Gordon Brown, so he's back into 34th. He won't be pleased with that, but there's nothing doing there from Lino, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, very, very close to an unsafe rejoin, but the fact he managed to keep it just the very edge of the track, then that'll be clear with the stewards.
Not a lot he could have done, really, short of trying to stop. And if you try and stop on the grass, then you'll just lock your brakes and go inwards. So as long as the drivers, and they all did, have the awareness that's required to race in this league, then they would have seen him coming on.
The battle of one of the lead man in the Pro Tier, trying to go around the outside of Thacker, leading man in the Am Tier. Grace got a great drive on him. Him just hid behind his rear bumper. And I was going to try, around the outside, he's going to try and pin him to the curb. The traction of the Porsche should serve him well here, but he also needs the line to serve him. And it doesn't. Thacker on the outside, faster line.
Learned his lesson from his battle with Colpitts, hasn't he? So, yeah, good driving from both to break it. And I can see Hyman's there. He's on the back of Baldwin. Not exactly. Well, he's now pushing him a bit, but he was half a second back, and he's wasn't exactly giving him grief until there, but Molenbeek did have a slight wobble going through the right-hander down at Dingledale.
Yeah, and Hyman's just looks that much more planted coming through the middle sector. But crucially,
going to give this up
the middle sector, it's just part of distraction.
Because if you lose 2 or 3 positions, you do lose ground. With the way that the Silvers are going to come through past the likes of Trotman, Townsend and Steve, you would think that he'll want to keep hold of this as long as possible, Molenbeek, to at least have his class win.
So a big setup here will help him into Druids. And tell you
He's
what,
Molenbeek's
gone very wide, and this is move's pretty much done before the corner.
Yeah, mistake there from Molenbeek. Just kind of opened the door and said, "Here you go, sir, after you, Claude." And Hyman's there, grateful for the gift. But he's now got to build a gap because there'll be the quicker drivers coming through. Sharp's got back ahead of Wazza somewhere around the lap. Now they're all stuck behind Dreadlock Steve. So Dreadlock Steve there being a bit of a cork in the bottle in 6th position, but he's not out of his depth. Certainly not yet, anyway.
So, opportunity doesn't seem to be going away for Wazza. Obviously, the pace difference between the two cars, you think Wazza down the straight, we're closing in a little bit more on the Honda.
Keep an eye on this, but Vermeulen has moved into championship winning position as he has now got past Morgan Royce. Moving up into 21st. He's just going past now Jeffrey DeFras, and I think, yeah, Grace has dropped back to 23rd. He's just gone past Stain Desert. So, yes, Vermeulen is now in championship confirming position, which is going to be when, not if, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels that way. Despite how difficult challenges have been tonight, he's just taking his time, biding his way through. Oh, we have a collision in the back. And that is done. Oh, we've got a few more.
I think Dunn's race is done for. Don't know quite how we got there, but spin there, and I think he got collected by another driver, didn't he?
I think it was 2 into 1 didn't go. And then he found himself on the outside and then collected by another car that just couldn't see through the kerfuffle.
Got a corner really to try and overtake at. So who
but here we go, his Prentice on the back of Sharp. Oh, they touch going into Druids, and that has sent Sharp wide. I can't help but think that'll be in front of the stewards.
Yeah, Sharp flashing his lights, although I do feel that the Ferrari's trying to get back into the back of the Aston. I do feel that, yeah, the Aston's going to try and let him go, I think. So I think that might not be in front of the stewards there. Prentice does the right thing. Yeah, Sharp did close the...
Oh, he's come back at him almost immediately. That wasn't too much like a let-by. Was if you're going to come straight back at a person.
Yeah, now he's decided to block him a bit, but do wonder if
now this is going to cost him the place to Lino as well. Lino going round the outside on Sharp, and that's that one done.
So, from what I saw, Sharp did close the door, but you wouldn't say that Prentice was far enough alongside to demand the space. as I think there's further goings on behind. Kalugin's off the back of the track, isn't he? So, but back on. Yeah, he wasn't far off alongside to claim the space, but once he did let him go, I know Sharp then messed it up a little bit around at Surtees. I think Luke's at that point decided, no, I've let him go, and and he's got off by his own mistake. So we'll see how that goes. Got 3 seconds now to Gedman, as I think we're off to that's Kelleher, isn't it, in 15th. Big move this for Am, because he's come through quite a few drivers to get there. He was third in Am classes. I think that's Marco Lino's just really questioned.
And then it looks like Hanley's going to go down the inside of Kelleher. And now Vermeulen, taking candidates from a baby, goes through as well. Yeah,
so sensible driving there from Kelleher in that he's not lost too much time to Vermeulen. Mind you, Marco Lino has had a bit of an incident with Johnny Sharp just behind Luke Prentice at Druid, so I think those two might not be going much further. With Lino, I think, having been hit up the backside by, I could be wrong, so Johnny, do forgive me if I am, but I could be wrong in that I think Johnny might have made contact earlier on with Marco Lino, judging by the way those cars went off. Darren Townsend's off, meanwhile, so that's another position gained for Vermeulen, Hanley and Co. But it's also another position gained for Kelleher. So Kelleher now up to 4th in Am, and this could be really good for his championship hopes, because he's got Trotman, Townsend. Townsend obviously was one of the drivers who's just got off. He was one of the drivers that was a factor. He's got Trotman, Harris and Steve ahead, and they're not factors in the Am class. So this could be working out brilliantly for Kelleher if he brings his brain. He's got Liam Richings just trying to go up the inside now. You're on with Harris. I think Richings trying to go up the inside there, but he's also got Trevor Mendes. No, he hasn't. He's got the Aston. That is Jeff Barnett behind us. There's a bit more contact there, but Richings now settling in, and this is all coming up Kelleher at the moment for the championship, because he's had a couple of really strong races thus far.
So Barnett looked like he did get a better run around the corner, but crucial on the exit, finds on the curb, and this is going to allow. I'm trying to stay on top of who's who.
Dean Desire. I think that's Dean Desire. That would be the one of the leading lights of the silver class. So he can't afford to be getting his nose too dirty, but he does fancy a run.
Townsend on the inside of Serpentine. It's absolutely swarming.
That's with them having been held up, I think.
And that was Grace banging doors with FaZe, I believe.
Yeah, so that's Jeffrey DeFarce, who's had a slightly weaker start to the race. He's back in 24th, but he's still only 6th or 7th in Class E, 6th in class. So you've got...
Oh, and now Sharp side by side with Mornweg.
Yeah, good move.
Yeah,
had to get that done, because Hyman's has cleared off, but Eden's only 3.5 seconds behind him, and you've got then a gap of about a second between
Trotman trying to fend from Vermeulen, but he's on the marbles and Vermeulen's through. I've got to be careful when you're letting Vermeulen through. Got to make sure he's not dragging through another driver that's your competitor, your direct competitor.
Being honest, it won't matter, because the next direct competitor for Paul Trotman is Trevor Mendes, and he's behind both Colpitts and Handley, and you would expect the Colpitts and Handley will pass them pretty soon.
Clayton wants a taste of Mornweg in the Aston. But crucially, I think a very critical corner on this track so far is probably Stirling's Bend. What you do in Stirling's Bend can determine what you end up being able to achieve into Druid's Bend. You're almost flat out through this section. Obviously a bit of a lift and a break going down the Paddock Hill Bend, but look how far he's come along now.
So we'll set him up now. We'll hope to set him up. That's what he's got to do, is try and get him out of position going through Paddock Hill. Doesn't do it that time, because Orneveg stays sharp, and Clayton now he's just got to try and sort of dance around behind him and try and make him make a mistake, because usually moves around here are 2 or 3 corners of the planning. Now he's got a run going down. Is he going to make the move on the inside into Surtees? Clayton up the inside of Morneveg. They're side by side. Morneveg runs wide on the marbles. He'll get no traction from there, and Clayton sets him up actually out of Graham Hill down the inside into 13's move completed, and the Aston Martin now up into the top 5 on the road, able to get after a few of the quicker drivers up in front.
Now Vermeulen has just overtaken Owen Harris, so now he'll be up into 8th place. The win still isn't completely out of the question. He's making good work of these.
I would suggest that it's Spanf is going to be the biggest threat for Hyman. Spanf and Sharp with Eden at the moment. He's quick in the straight line speed, isn't he, with the Lexus, but he's starting to struggle a bit through the corners.
Now is Harris the next name to scratch off the list for Popper? He's had to endure Vermeulen in the last lap or so, but now he wants to reinstate a battle and maybe follow Vermeulen through, but they can only do that if we can overtake Owen Harris very quickly. And Harris wide on the gravel, but can he retain it? No, he can't. He's slowed. That's Popper still through and down the inside, but he's gone a little bit deep. Can Harris tuck it back? He's going to find himself on the outside.
That's the defence of a man who knows he's in class lead. Sensible driving there from Owen Harris, as we've become accustomed to with race number 2. So good driving there all round. Now I think the battle for 11th is still raging. It's Hanley versus Colpitts. I think Colpitts might have got past him actually, because it was 2/10 of a second. I think Colpitts now stretching the lead a little bit. We're already up into 8th, meanwhile.
Well, Morgan Grace has been in the wars a little bit. He was side by side with Kelleher there, but Kelleher's dropped back. He's now got Townsend in his sights. It's getting very close to the rear bumper of the McLaren.
Kelleher's got quite a bit of damage, so I do wonder if he's been hit at some point, because the back end and the front end both looking a bit dog-eared, which could be bad news for his further prospects. I think the Aston Martin Prentice is that, or is that Dreadlock Steve? Townsend off wide, and now he's got to deal with Luke Prentice. Now he can't elbow him out too wide because they're side by side now. So going down into Clark, I expect that Prentice will be able to have him perhaps down the straight, because Townsend there slightly stuck behind Grace. I think Grace has just got past him, so he'll be a bit disturbed and distracted. Now Prentice goes to the inside. Townsend doesn't exactly shut the door, does he? And Townsend there able to slot back in behind.
Now Desaire's going to have a piece of him as well if he's not careful.
I think Townsend's he's
been spooked.
He's
going to let Bruce Tully through as well.
He's joining the ground, I think. He's break that far late, so Bruce Tully now side by side. I think this is the thing with multi-class racing, is that when you're one of the lower classes, it's very difficult sometimes not to let your head drop, and I think that's exactly what's happening, because he's completely out of rhythm, and I suspect that there'll be more pain for him with at the hands of
Townsend had to defend from Bruce. So Bruce Tully in the Porsche trying to take a move.
Tully will have him on the inside there if he's not. I thought Bruce Tully might make the move.
But now Bruce Tully. Oh, and that is Dreadlock Steve gone wide. Such a shame.
Yeah. Trying to get around the outside of Bruce Tully, wasn't he, Dreadlock Steve, and gets hoofed out, I think. As the way the race goes, he's very difficult to make any kind of impact around there. Meanwhile, Felipe Spanf has caught. He's 3/10 behind Andrew Eden. I suspect this might be crucial for the race win, because Spanf is clearly a lot quicker than Eden, and he's starting to drag Sharp in with him.
Yeah, that's right. You can just see Sharp in the background, and Sharp's done a great job dropping Clayton and Mornweg. A bit of clear air behind him should he want to use it. Cool down, recharge, get your tyres settled. Battle of the motorway demons, Hanley and Colpitts. And then Colpitt's been pushed a little bit wide. Nothing too bad, but Hanley through. Oh, is this happening now? Eden actually going to let Bump through? No, not even an inkling.
Spamf now has to try and sort of run again. It's going to be set up 2 or 3 quarters in advance. He's got to get a good run out of Graham Hill. He's got to make sure that he doesn't do anything stupid going into Graham Hill. And now, try and see if he can prioritise the exit. Lex has got very good straight line speed, but it's not the best through the corners. So he can try and put the Lexus off. I think that's going to be his best method, really.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Eden, at least for the time being, is equal to it. Let's go find what the battles we may have. There's Basler, P13, Mr. Unlucky, stuck behind Trotman, kind of in an inter-team. So, we lost train of my own thought there.
That cold, isn't it? So, Prentice now, is that on the back of... No, it's Trotman, isn't it? A little bit further ahead. He's held his own, really, isn't he, Trotman?
Yeah, he's done a great job.
Given that he's been one of the slower rams throughout the season, but he's doing a good job of holding up Basler, who's got back up into 3rd in class, which is a remarkable effort in itself.
Is he just through? Oh, commentator's curse has sent Trotman over the grass, and he's lost the 2 positions he fought tooth and nail to try and hold.
It doesn't really matter, because he'll still have 2nd in Am, although he has now got Trevor Mendes right behind him in that McLaren.
Oh, but look how close Banff finally is to Eden. Thought there was maybe going to be a move to get alongside out of Druids Bend, but no, looks like Eden has neutralised this once again.
Starting to get a little bit wayward, isn't he? Starting to get a little bit... He's starting to get just a little bit frustrated behind him. You can see from the car's body language.
Oh, and how can Grace do? Holding up Prentice and Desire here. Just doesn't look like Grace has got dialed in tonight. He is not making the advancements that his championship rival Vermeulen has.
I think you need to remember Vermeulen's the class of the field as well, though, don't we? Because while Grace is struggling, there's no doubt about it, Vermeulen is quite clearly the class of the field, isn't he? And I think that's very true.
Here goes Prentice. Grace for a moment thought inside the track was key, and they do bang wheels. But that's affected Prentice more than it did Grace. But all the same, Prentice has rejoined ahead. Even when squirming, the Aston Martin's grunt has brought it out in front.
Yeah, pretty good move there all the way round. Prentice has been quite keen to get that done for a little while. Though he's got a little way to go before, so he's got to get on with it. He's got a little way to go before the next driver in class, which is Hanley, all the way up in 9th. He's got to get past Barnett, who's a New Zealand teammate on Thursday night, so that might not be too much of an issue. He's got Trevor Mendes ahead, who's in AM class, so again, might not be too much of an issue.
But here comes Desert around the outside of Grace. What can he do? There's disaster stations for Grace. Starting to lose these positions. Keeps pushing. Grace has gone a little bit wide. He's used the grass. Surely just there wanted to be on the inside there, because now he's going to have the Porsche. That must have been a different Porsche.
So Spamf has got past Eden, who was also lost out to Adam Sharp. So Spamf has got 9 seconds to find on Haymans. Walter Haymans now in the lead, and Eden now dropping all the way back to 4th.
Is that Desire?
That's Haymans. No, that is Desire. I thought that was Haymans for a moment, because I hadn't seen Desire drop off, but it is. Who is that? That might not even be... Is that Kruger, maybe? Who's that? Car number 12, is it? Car number... Roll 22. Either way,
they seem to be going again.
Yeah, it's the red Ferraris, and Mordenberg's just gone way wide, isn't he? Vermeulen, meanwhile, is fighting with Josh Clayton. Clayton not keen to give up 5th position, because You can see that Eden's been struggling. You can see that Sharp in third position is in a Honda, so there is going to be positions potentially for Clayton, but he's got to fight with all his might to get away from the immovable object that is Vermeulen. Vermeulen obviously not quicker than that Ferrari, but he's not quicker than anybody. He's just got to pick his moment now. Vermeulen, try and set him up out of Clark Curve, which is the next corner, and see if he can get him on the run to Paddock Hill.
Yeah, so Clayton doing a great job of defence initially.
Hyman's is in the pits. So race leader has had another pit stop shocker somewhere and has not fuelled enough because Hyman's come into the pits, which means
but here goes Vermeulen. There's a big dive down the inside. Oh, and they touch with Clayton. It's quite hard to tell from this angle what space was or wasn't given, but that is contact with Vermeulen and Clayton.
I can say with full confidence that is unfortunately on the host of the podcast, the post-race, I'm afraid. So my eyes anyway, move wasn't really on. He wasn't sufficiently alongside. He didn't look like he was really much alongside the axle. Certainly wasn't axle to axle by the time that he was on the brakes. So I'm fairly confident in saying that unfortunately Vermeulen might just have to take the rap for that, in my humble opinion.
I think I'd have to see it from a few different angles. I think he did initially get alongside into the corner, but as the corner progressed, obviously he lost a little bit of ground. And then lines out the corner from the angle we could see it on the stream just wasn't, it's not all conclusive. But here's Prentice now down in P16. He's trying to make Grace's life a misery, and now to the outside he goes, and just an absolute rocket ship past him. Then so fast he goes off the track, but then still retains the position from Grace. So all's well that ends well.
Yes, he'll be rather pleased with that. Prentice he's not really the ground I thought he might make. I thought he's normally a bit of an expert in these types of races, but it's not really been his there. But he is 50.
So just caught Dunn being overtaken there by FaZe.
I think Hyman's didn't put enough fuel in. That's the only reason I can think that he got the ball as he did. That's pit.
Yeah, Dunn after that. So what was it? Brown's in the pits.
What if certain drivers or a few drivers maybe have made an error with their fuel?
Or have just left it exactly what they had in the 20?
I think collided, which is why they're in the pits. Flores has obviously had a pretty woeful evening, I'm afraid to say, Paolo Flores. But
here's an opportunity for Wazza on Mormeg. Mormeg went wide coming to the Hawthorne's Bend, and for a moment he was right on his gearbox, and Wazza just looking incredibly comfortable in his Bentley tonight. Will there be a move on here? He does seem to have got his nose on the inside for a bit of respect, and he's already got his nose ahead as he exits the corner. Always car number 2 speeding in the pit lane. Goes from bad to worse. Brush Tully,
who's had a load of damage to fix after I think a collision with Trotman at some point. So yeah, disaster really for him.
And we've got Barnett. He finds himself in a bit of a sandwich for the outer places from the Silver Tier Championship.
So let's recap then with the class leaders. So you've got Spamp obviously leading for Pro. Unusual really to see 6 pros this high up in this particular race. You've got then Morningweg who's leading Silver, but with Lee Colbitts has risen up to 2nd overall. So that could be really important for the championship, having been a fairly strong finisher earlier on. But the lead of the AM class is still Owen Harris, but he's only got 2 cars between himself and Mendes. It could be a real battle there for Silver and victory, as well as obviously the pros. But Luke Prentice now hunting down Trevor Mendes. Should hopefully be for the sake of Harris anyway, a threat to the AM runner-up at this moment in time.
Yeah, so Mendes in a bit of a pro sandwich right now, and Wouter Heyman's will be a resurgence, so he's not going to probably catch him. I mean, I suspect with the pace within Prentice at the moment that he's going to lose that position as well. Whereas Owen Harris, in relative no man's land behind him, just slowly creeping up on Colbitz and Basler, hoping for some opportunities.
Oh, who's that? Who's that in the Porsche off? That's Bush Sully again, I think. As Trotman and Bush Sully renew acquaintances. I think that could be. Is that Bush Sully? No, it's not. It's might be Chris Gedman. Yeah, Chris Gedman at the back there with plenty of damage to that Porsche. So a couple of accidents there. But Adam Sharp's caught up to the back of Felipe's Pamp, isn't he? Honda there behaving itself for once, but look who is up in third.
Yeah,
the inevitable, isn't it?
Yeah, as they were putting on in the F1, the T-Rex from Jurassic Park just comes after you, no matter how fast you drive your Jeep. Now, will a drawn-out battle with Banff really help Sharp? Is getting ahead of him that key, or does he just need to concentrate on defence?
No, you might as well fight for the win. Might as well fight for the lead. No point. If you're going to concentrate on defence against Newland, you're going to throw away the chance of winning anyway. So you might as well try and pass him, and then if Newland comes after you, well, you've tried to be as aggressive as you possibly can be.
Waiting, looking for the close battles, and this is Sharp to make a move on Desire, so it won't really affect either driver's championship, but for overall positions and the opportunity to fight for stuff further up. Here goes Sharp, dive down the inside with Desire, giving the space. Oh no! Both drivers lose the rear, and Sharp comes out worse. It's a corner that really has been inducing that sort of collision tonight.
Yeah, you always think you've got more grip than you have by the time you get there, and I wonder if that was the case as earlier it was. That's when you turn in, the slightest bit of contact on the nose just sends you round. Steve Prentice has got past Trevor Mendes. That's good news for Owen Harris in his fight to hopefully win AM class. Owen Harris, who's been a bit of a specialist in race number 2, isn't he, over the last couple of seasons?
Yeah, Mr. Harris does like his British circuits. I know he visits Silverstone in real life most weekends.
Can't say I blame him, to be honest. I'm certainly with him on his British tracks. Now, we'll see, I think again, Sharp's only half a second back from Spav, but for Newland now 1.6 seconds back.
So it's very much who gets who first, because this trio is going to come together at some point for some fireworks. And was that Banff going a little bit wide?
No issues there. Wasn't that far off. And Sharp was similarly close, I think it's fair to say.
Just like Banff is just sliding the car a little bit more, but provided he's happy with the slip, then he should remain confident in his driving. So there's anybody down the bottom end which is showing any aggression towards the position. We've got FaZe chasing down Kalugin. This is to connect himself more with the leading pack of Thacker and Townsend, which is in his tier.
I think Wazza is now on the back of Clayton. I think he's got a McLaren in front of him, which a lap McLaren. But this might be pretty, well, not key for any championship or anything, but
Wazza gets a big snapper on.
And as soon as we go to him, Wazza there, top of the back end is
and then Clayton gets an easy move.
Yeah, that's the back marker. So good driving there from that's Silva, Miguel Silva. Not really a factor in any race at the moment, so it's driven well to get out of the way. Thacker, meanwhile, up into fourth. One hand watch. Thacker is up into third.
Oh, and round. That was the Mercedes, number 36.
That would be done, I think. Yeah, done's the only. No, it's not done. It's car
Mercedes.
22 is done. But I think he might have disconnected car 36 because he is gone already. Certainly no evidence of 36 having been stuck around there. Now, Vermeulen's on the back of Sharp, so Sharp is going to have to go on to defence now. He's not been able to get past Banff. Now, all over the back of Sharp. He's just got to pick his moment here. But Sharp, a fair driver, but not an easy man to pass.
Even in a Honda NSX. So Vermeulen not electing for the big deep dive into turn 1 this time. Looks a bit too far back to move into Druids. So a little bit more work to be done maybe. Sharp just a little bit deep and wide.
Yeah, so Sharp's putting his car in all the right places at the moment. He's going to go and defend into T's for the moment, although he doesn't need to spend too hard to move back to take the race in line. And yeah, the Honda's got decent acceleration coming out of CIT.
Now will Ban Marcus play a role here?
No.
Vermeulen couldn't pull out quite fast enough.
Trotman did about as best as he could do, to be fair, and there's only really 3 lanes wide there. Spamper's now got, I think that's Barnett up ahead. Barnett's just gone off the track, actually. So Spamp there having to get past that.
Oh, there's a massive collision in the background.
I think all the leaders got through, but I think it was a Porsche. It might have been Chris Gebman or Bruce Tully. It might have been Bruce Tully.
Tully's still going.
It might have been Chris Gebman then in the other Porsche. He's had a pretty torrid afternoon, and yeah, it is Chris Gebman who was been crashed into. I think he went off in front of what I think was Jack Barnett. I think I could be wrong there. No, Barnett's Aston's looking clean, so it might have been Dreadlock Steve in that case.
Here comes Gunther Heymans. He's basically pushing Colpitts along. This is a long-standing rivalry. They find each other so often on track.
Bamford's gone off, and it's now a battle for the lead between Sharp and Vermeulen. But the collisions there might have had more impact on the leaders than we thought. A lot of drivers have ended up getting out of the way of Vermeulen, and Vermeulen's now got to fight for this win against Adam Sharp, who's a tough opponent. But the Ferrari with the South African drivers formidable was Sharp does run slightly wide. Now, Vermeulen has got to run that down Pilgrim's drop. Is he going to have to run around Dingledale? Is he going to have to do it around the outside? Sharp's going to keep the inside. It's been very fair so far, but he does keep the move, keep the line and keep the position. Now, is Vermeulen going to have a run down into the inside here? No, not much of a breaking point, but he does take rather a lot of curb and has a really aggressive tight line. You're not going to make him move through Westfields if you're sensible up Sheen Curve, but you're trying to push him through there. Now it comes up to Sterling's again, not really going to make a move if you're sensible, though he does veer out just a bit, and now it's going to be about setting it up out of Clark Curve. So they come over to the left-hand side now. He's going to try and take the widest line possible to see if he can get down the inside. He's not, because Sharp has it all covered for the moment, but now they're going to go, Greg, into Paddock Hill.
Yeah, so Vermeulen with a few sights there, but then, yeah, as you've been saying, Sharp point is going all the right places. But what has he? Defensively, brilliant. Actually, carrying the speed through, not so great, and that is going to lose him potentially more than just that.
I think the Honda broke loose on him. He'll be so disappointed with that. The Honda broke loose on him as he was trying to sort of hold off the
back through. So Sharp gone from third to first. And then back to third. But all this has resulted in that Jared Vermeulen is once again very close to completing another last to first in FRL Super Sprint Sunday.
Vermeulen back for what it's going to be probably, without any further issues, then a double win. I think another double win. And he's had a couple of those already this season, hasn't he? So there's be another one to add to the collection.
So I'm on board with Heymans, right now. He's chasing down Colpitts. Colpitts BMW does have greater top end speed, but the Ferrari is sneaky. It carries so much speed through the corners. It's probably the most all-round car in ACC. And down the inside he goes. No. Colpitts has done absolutely none of it.
Bit impressive from Colpitts, and had Basler not existed, Basler now up into second in class. Colpit's probably been my pick for driver of the day, but Basler has been on another level, hasn't he? So now doing a really good job to hold up not just Hyman's, but it's Richings, Harris and Prentice are now catching this up as well. So it's going to be a bit of a train really to the end, as Colpit's there with Hyman's, one of the most aggressive drivers on the grid. Hyman's so he's got to watch his step. Colpit's, he's got to be wheel perfect, otherwise Hyman's will be up the inside whether there's a gap or not sometimes. But yeah, it looks like Colpit's at the moment holding on really, really well.
Yeah, some of the gaps they are quite settled movements. Kalugin chasing down Townsend around the final bend. Kalugin can't quite bring himself the side of Townsend, but he's going to try a big deep one here. Oh, Townsend goes to turn in, but there was Kalugin. They touch wheels, and I think the right thing is there for Kalugin to just back off momentarily and try again.
Not like Kalugin might have had the space, although on first pass. Although I'm still watching the battle between
somebody
Colpitts
round
and
84.
Hyman's.
Car 84 round.
That's Flores. There's fourth. He's not a factor. Still a good battle for 10th. Hyman's is still pushing, really. Colpitts all the way round. So stick with that one, because Hyman's now got Richings 2/10 of a second back as well. So he's got to be careful about defensive attack with Bush Tully there. Not yielding despite being a lap down. He's right in the thick of it. He's got the best seat in the house. Richings actually might just have a run on Hyman. So is Richings going to cause Hyman's a headache? Now going down Hispanic Hill. Hyman's not quite. Yeah, no, not quite there. Hyman's has that covered off. I think Richings realised that he might need Hyman, so actually used as a pick to get past Colpitts. That's the thing with ultra-class racing as well. You can actually use a driver of another class to get past, or to help you pass a driver of the same class as you.
Yeah, it's a tactic. Holder's time. I'll let the fast guy through to make the faster guy than me a little bit slower. If it's only just for a moment enough for me to catch up. Lewis Heyman's back again. Was pushing the BMW along, but as soon as he jumps out of the slipstream, gets hit with a face of turbulence. Oh, I think Colpitts maybe just had a slightly bad turn. Yeah, and just like that, Hyman's is through. When it was on the grass, because Colpitts got anything to fight this.
Colpitts has got him back though, going into Westfield. Hyman's made the move down the inside, but he outbraked himself and ended up running wide there. Went on to marbles and ran wide, so Colpitts has 10th place back again.
So yeah, after a long time, pressure building in this four-way battle with Harris with an outside chance of getting involved. Pressure cooker is being turned up. But Richings showed his nose there to the inside of Heyman's. Harris doesn't need to do much as long as he keeps Prentice between him and Mendez. He'll be laughing for this one. That's an amateur win. Mormeg driving around the middle of nowhere with nothing but Wazza in sight. Heyman's has gone for the dive again on Colpitts, and he's got that one. Into Surtees.
Colpitts there, not risking life and limb, is he? So that's a sensible move there, but they know he's got to make sure that he holds off. He's got to make sure that he holds off. I think that's Richings behind, and he'll take them what is second in class behind Basler, third in class behind Basler, with Mordenberg looking like he's going to win.
It really, really does. Just catched up with a very interesting battle with Wazza and Clayton at the moment. Wazza took a very, very different line there to try and make an advancement on Clayton, but it didn't work, and the hunt continues. Now Desert finds himself just on the gearbox of Sharp. Not somebody would have guessed that he would have been fighting at the start of this race, but here he is. At home, Owen Harris really caught up to the back of Prentice. Oh no, that's Prentice has overtaken him. So now he's subject to the attack from Trevor Mendez. So a lap and a half left, maybe two. Will be only minor panic stations for Harris. I think he thinks he's got this one covered, especially as Mendez is being hassled by the lap car just behind him.
As well, so we're going up to the lead. I think
that's brushed Tully off on the grass. I know he's not really a factor, but he's going to want to keep that on the tarmac if he's not going to cause any issues for those fighting for the top positions.
Yeah, I think the character of the years, I don't think he'll be worried about that so much. I just want to sort of drive his car fast. Yes, I was just about to say that Sharp is still all over the back of Spamp, and Spamp has already shown that he can make a mistake, so I wonder if the Honda might still have designs, but he does still have designs on that second place, Adam Sharp. It's been a great drive so far, marked by that one mistake, which I think was Honda-itis, to be honest with you. But this will be a really good result if he can nick second place in what's become a really impressive park campaign.
Yeah, but I don't think Bamford's going to lose this one either. I think he's not defending that heavily right now, but if needs must, I'm sure he'll throw a really big defensive shape. But not quite the exit he wanted out of Sheen Curve.
Need to make sure that you're a bit closer there, although there is traffic ahead, and that's a fairly slow back marker, so I wonder if that might then cause issues as Vermeulen is about to start his last lap.
So just like a blink of an eye in the sprint, Vermeulen last to first with a few laps to spare, leads us round for a few more laps, and this will be his last lap before claiming victory. So car 68 gets out of the way, allows this wonderful battle to continue.
So I think, are we too early to start talking about driver of the day? Whilst we've got it on now, as everything's all going to be fairly settled. We'll break to Sharp if he doesn't, but I would suggest that the driver of the day might well be... There's only one person for Pro, which is Vermeulen, but for Silver, it's only ever
Sharp
going to be
going for it. Sharp going for it around the outside.
I think Spamp's run out of fuel because there's no way he'd have just moved over and let him go. I wonder if he's got fuel issues. I wonder if it's a great move from Sharp, but he backed off quite a bit, wasn't he? He was so far back. I wonder if he's a little bit marginal on fuel because he was way back, wasn't he? I'll see if I can hop on board with him. See if I can hop on board with Spamp, but yeah, that all seemed very, very strange.
He hasn't dropped too far back.
Yeah, very, very odd how that happened in that case. So we'll see.
Or this.
It's got over okay, but yeah, very good win for obviously for Vermeulen. Second place is going to be Adam Sharp, but yeah, he's dropped back 2 seconds. So I do wonder if there was an underlying issue there for Spamp in third.
And then we have Prentice chasing Richings around the middle sector. This is the best attack I've seen from Prentice so far, and Richings is like a wide line, and oh, the cutback through Sheen Curve. What an inspired move.
Yeah, forced a mistake out of Richings there. Richings ran slightly wide, and that's good news not only for Prentice but for his stablemate Lee Colpitts, because Colpitts there was not going to be under threat from Richings in order to take second place in the third place in class to complete a really strong.
But here comes Johnny Sharp. He thought about a move on Grace coming towards the line. How's your exit? Not as good as the Porsche, it seems. And now we've got another battle coming towards the line. Kalugin coming for Townsend. I think this one's raged for a long time this evening. It'll be good to see its conclusion, but I think Townsend has this covered. Equal machinery coming towards the line. And do you know what? That was important. Townsend didn't want to be disrupted for his P3 in class. But yeah, I mean that's the main classification. Driver of the day.
Vermeulen is obviously now the champion as well, isn't he? Having finished ahead of Grace both times. Vermeulen's obviously going to be the one from the Pro class, I would suggest that as he does join us for the latest edition of his podcast, I would suggest that Basler will be first and second for Silver, so I would suggest that he's probably going to get Driver of the Day nomination from Silver. There's a bit of a mixed bag for Am. They all had struggles, didn't they, at various points? So you probably have to give it to the difficult one. This, I would say, probably Jeffrey DeFars is probably the driver that was the most consistent. So yeah, I mean, I won't. Unfortunately, Harris has just joined us. Great win as per in the second race for Am, but unfortunately not quite there. The first part, but I'll probably go with Jeffrey DeFars as my Am pick for the Driver of the Day nomination.
Yeah, I can get down with all of those. So we'll go to Vermeulen first, as we've got a whole host of people joining this evening. So we'll go to Vermeulen first. Obviously, congratulations on what I presume with how the results have fallen, that you are now champion of the Pros here. So congratulations there.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, great. We were a bit sceptical, wrongly so, of course, of your ability to go last to first around this very tricky, winding track. Did you manage to develop any additional overtaking spots that maybe we couldn't have foreseen?
My favorite overtaking spot seemed to be, onto the middle straight, that corner.
Yes.
I seem to be getting better exits than everybody, so I just force them narrow, then just go around the outside and then get a better exit. That was quite good, and obviously pretty much anywhere where the opportunity came. But I'd have to say, more so I was putting them under pressure, making them make a mistake, then I can get up the inside somewhere on the track. But actual overtakes, I think I did probably like 15 actual overtakes today, and it was all in that corner, pretty much. That's where I overtook people.
Yeah, so obviously a great result for yourself. Obviously a bit of we saw a few incidents around the back section of the track, which obviously you've successfully avoided. So I don't think you're actually anywhere near at the time. I think it was a Brush Tully, which was obviously suffering with that and took a few cars with him.
Yeah, the only one I had to avoid was the start, where I had to just slam on the brakes and navigate around. But otherwise than that, I think I missed everything, because I saw a couple of cars on lap 1 and 2 out, on the gravel, but I didn't see any big incident. But I did hear in comms with Brown and Gedman and all of them that there was something going on there. Somebody crashed, so I think it was probably pushed to it.
Oh, as we completely missed out on the stream. A big pile up at the start, which definitely would have halted your ability to get through, and I'm assuming that was the braking that you were on about. It was quite a big crash there. It's a few cars, so I just took it safe. I probably could have been a bit more aggressive, but I played it safe. I felt that I had the pace tonight, where it's okay if I lost 5 seconds there. I would be able to claw it back quite quickly, and I'm pleasantly surprised to win that. I was saying in chat that I think I'd be happy with like 6, but I managed to make overtakes and people forcing them into mistakes, and I got through it a lot quicker than I anticipated. So I'm very happy with my evening. I'm on the championship, so that's another one. So I like this track, so it was a good evening. So I'm very happy. Yeah. Another person that had a good evening. Obviously, the second person that joined us in the chat was Mr. Owen Harris. Obviously, from what we could see, you had a relatively tough first race, despite, not helped by what we assume was an invalid qualifying, and then obviously you came back and won the second race. So a very big change in fortunes. Talk us through it.
The cursed Sky livery lives on. So unfortunately, me trying to get the heat into the tyres on qualifying, I didn't quite get the heat where I wanted them to for my push lap, and I kind of just did a bit of Gordon Brown WRC just in that third sector and just dropped a wheel, invalidated. So that was my qualifying done, and race 1, unfortunately, I was kind of playing a bit of bumper cars, but it was all good fun, nothing serious. I think I got a bit of a tank slapper on in sector 3, and I think it was Clayton that just gave me the final push round to get out of the way. But no love lost at the end of the day. It was really good fun, really tight track, loads of drivers, really good driving tonight, and I think that probably did just help me race 2, just kind of just get my head down. Had a little bit of a moment with Dreadlock Steve, but I mean, other than that, didn't really have anything to worry about.
Ah, that's good to hear. I mean, was there any threats from the Am-Tier in race 2? Obviously, you did start from essentially a reverse grid pole for the Am-Tier. Did anybody catch you? Anybody put you under pressure?
Well, I was supposed to be starting alongside another Am driver. I'm not quite sure what happened. I think he didn't ready up in time, so he started from the pit lane. So that was pretty much my Am first leg pretty much done. Obviously, kind of got wrapped in trying to let some of the faster drivers pass, and obviously not trying to waste too much tyre. So I did pick up a puncture halfway through that as well. That's why I was kind of nursing the car home, because I'd stupidly ran out of fuel on the first race and put too much fuel on the second race and ended up getting a puncture for all my troubles. So I mean, Mendez, big shout out to him, really good battle with him last week at Silverstone, and again this week at Brands Hatch. He definitely keeps me on my toes. He was definitely catching as I was nursing that Ferrari home.
Yes, that's also great to hear. Obviously, great experience as FRL producing the goods as always. And obviously, we've had a few admins join us in the chat as well. We're not ever usually given this sort of grace, apart from the start where we had a bit of a stream issue.
Hold on.
Finally, people have joined my podcast, man. It's been a lonely season.
Yeah. So, Gedman, I don't think we covered you that much. So maybe you could fill us in with what went on with your race.
Oh, thank God then I don't need to say a thing, because I had an absolutely fantastic race. Not.
Can I raise a point of order?
Order.
I did see you have your own little adventure when the lead battle came through.
Yes.
In the feature race, which looked entertaining, but probably didn't help you.
No. So my poor wee tyres had a puncture on rear left and front left at the same time, and as I was going round the fast right-hander, my poor back end lost it. I span, I held my brakes, and I just was faced by two gaggles of cars racing each other. And unfortunately, I think it was unavoidable. It's just one of those things. And I was in the pits for about 3.5 minutes, and yeah, it was a tough one. And
you might be in trouble.
You
might be in trouble.
Are you looking at it now?
No, we just caught Brush Tully with a little tap at the start, and then a bunch of extra stuff that happened afterwards.
I never hit anyone, and nobody hit me to make me lose control, but I held my brakes and I get clattered.
Are you sure that's Bruce Tully?
Oh, Lino, sorry. Got the same livery.
That looks like a different grade.
He's throwing names into the hat here.
Oh, here we go. So you're putting under the bus?
I'll let you watch it. I'm sure somebody else will report it. No, anyway, I'd like to report
no, he's Kevin. But then Brown, I think we did cover you for a little while. That you were in a long drawn out battle with I forget exactly who, but how was that around here? Just either staring at or having been stared at for long periods of the race.
Yeah, I think after being out for a week, coming back, and then in race 1, qualifying, putting at P6 and finishing at P5. I'm very happy with that, to be honest. I was tucked in behind Hymans and Luke Prentice for quite some time. In race 1, I think Hymans had an incident or ran into fuel or something. He had to dive into the pit. Not sure exactly what happened. Conveniently finished started P2 for race 2 for him. So I don't know. I'll leave that comment to fester. But yeah, Luke was very, very consistent, very impressive. Both of us lapping the same lap time, lap after lap. There was no mistakes. It was just really good driving, to be honest. Race 2 was a bit different. We've seen what happened at the start. I had to slam on the brakes. Lost the P positions at the start, and then really drove straight into the back of Chris at the into turn 2. I think I did nudge him just a little bit, but managed to avoid any major incidents. I think I had it in 1 second of damage or something. But it cost me pretty right to the very back of the grid. Started edging my way forward, Had a little fight with Serpentine, I think, into turn 2. I think I was alongside at the time. I've since watched the replay and it's probably a bit more 50-50 than that. But I think a little bit of ping caused him to push me round on exit at that turn. After that, tyres were gone and the car was never the same. It just kept going back the way. Had a little bump, I think Dreadlock Steve it was, ran wide on the final corner and I caught him in turn 1 and he sort of opened the door for me to let me go. But I had just had damaged 3 corners before that, my first time taking turn 1 and just understeered straight into him, took him completely out. And that was it. That 3 minutes in the pits. But yeah.
So yeah, a lot of action all round with absolutely everybody. With such heavy admin presence in the Formula podcast, is there any announcements that we're due to hear, or are you just here along for the ride?
Both.
Yes.
Both, I think.
We've got our off season coming up. Might as well plug that.
Yep,
Or
that's
Project
exactly why I joined.
Motorsport Racing, or Project Motorsport Racing, right?
No, but definitely. I've heard they've got quite a good legal team, so
That's
I'm not going to say
right.
anything. No comment. No, I'm here basically just to sort of plug our off-season coming up over the next couple of weeks. Obviously, next week's the finale for this season at Spa. Then we've got a week break. I think on the 23rd of December, that's a Tuesday, the normal Tactical Tuesday slot, we've got a BMW M2 Cup, which will be taking place. That's for Patreon supporters just now. That will be open to the public next week, along with our next race, our second off-season race. The first ever Console VK Mountain will be at Bathurst, and that's
Multi-class as well.
Yeah, multi-class 90-minute race around Bathurst, GT2s and GT4s. And then the week after that, the first Tuesday of the new year, we will be doing an event called A New Dawn in Taunton. Well, it's just GT3's 100 minutes, but we're going to be doing it sort of in
What track
nighttime,
is that
daytime
one?
transition.
I wonder.
Yeah, we've got a day nighttime transition there, and it's definitely not at Donington. But that'll be good fun. That'll be quite an experience to go through. Still deciding the specifics in terms of what's involved, the strategy with all these races and stuff.
Well,
But they'll be released fully with finalised sort of pit stops and things like that on SimGrid at some point next week. I think Thursday, maybe Tuesday, Thursday. I don't know. We'll do it after one of the races, one of the regular season races.
Well, did I just catch Brown running into the back of Gedman now?
Yes, I drove straight into the back of Chris Gedman.
Sorry, I just didn't get that.
then we've got our endurance, remember, as well.
Oh yeah, sorry, the endurance race, I totally forgot. I think that's a week before. That's the 17th, 16th?
So we're holding
I
the
can't remember.
qualifying session. Is it on the Friday?
That'll be the 21st, I believe.
Yeah, and then the race
Is-
on the 23rd to the Sunday.
The race on the 21st, the qualifying on the 19th, I do believe.
That's right,
yeah,
that's right.
Apologies.
Geriatric GT are looking to make their end with myself, Luke. I say geriatric GT. We're old, all of us, for online sim races. Hence the name. With myself, Luke, Lee, Colbert, and flying through. That's an exclusive. In the world's grumpiest GT team, we're going to be attempting the 8 out.
It's 8 hours at Spa, so we're going for more posts about that as well.
Well, Lee's happy, he balances it out, but the rest of us are miserable, so
I was going to
enjoy
say
that.
I've got no excuse because we're doing Spa the week before, so you've got no excuse.
Well, that's one of the few races I'll actually be able to race on Tuesday, what with football and all that going on that I keep going to, so I'll be one of the few races I can get to, so I'll release that which way around that goes.
Alright, gents, that's going to be me. Thank you very much for another stream, guys.
Yep.
I'll see you next week and enjoy yourselves. Have a blessed Sunday evening, and I'll see you guys next week. Cheers.
Thank you for joining us.
We'll be heading as
Bye.
well. Well, I'll be heading anyway. I'll let you guys wrap everything up. Do you have a driver for today?
We have ran through them. I think if Jack can remember them.
You know what? I'll watch the stream back and let you deal with it that way. That way we'll get more views.
Catch
So
you there,
guys, thanks very
gentlemen.
much.
Thank you very much for joining, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
So there you have, everybody. That was the Jared Vermeulen podcast and your Simnet Super Sprint Sunday. To boot, we've had such a great time this evening. So many overtakes, so much great action that's unfolded. You just heard such a roster of off-season events that are coming up. So if you haven't already, drop a comment in the comments section, and admin will reach out to you to help you get involved. Currently, those events are open to the Patreon members, like I mentioned earlier. So if you are a Patreon member or you're looking to be one, you will get early access to those events. You can secure your spot before absolutely anybody else. So we look forward to that, and obviously all of that support helps FRL keep the lights on, keep us here, keep everybody else here as well, and the servers up. Make sure you hit the notification bell, because next week is the finale of a lot of our series. So do make sure to see the highest octane action that FRL provides, especially just before the Christmas break. And we'll see you all in those off-season events, as well as obviously wishing you well over the Christmas period. All of the events are visible with the results on SimGrid, so do make sure you go on there to catch up with your favourite drivers. And yeah, we shall see you all next week. Have a good evening, guys. Bye now.
Good evening.